working to bring new business to Delaware. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Senate President Pro Tem Anthony DeLuca. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
When we talk about bringing new business to Delaware, there have been steps taken by the legislature in order to do just that. Let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that have been happening. We've talked in the past about Fisker Automotive. We talked about Bloom Energy, but we're talking specifically about a reopened refinery. Give us an update on what's happening now.
Well, we were very fortunate to have a climate existing in the state of Delaware by where the governor and the legislature could work with new ownership in this refinery. And I think we have the distinction of being the only place in the United States has taken a shuttered refinery and brought it back up to full operation. And it is a big impact for the state of Delaware to be able to do this. They have met their commitment, or well on their way of meeting their commitment for the loans that we extended them to actually turn that into a grant. We have over 750 full-time employees or full-time contractors working on that site right now. The company spent around $450 million revitalizing that plant and bringing it back up to standards to operate. And very shortly, they're seeking federal and state approval for a $1 billion project on that site, no government money involved, with over 1 million man-hours of employment to be tied to that, to both increase their capacity for product and put much better pollution controls in effect on their refining process.
Let's talk about the refinery itself. This actually refines sour crude. What's the distinction of that refining process in this location?
It's a much more, well, first of all, it's the only sour crude refinery that's on the East Coast.
As opposed to refining
sweet crude. The recent shuttered plant in Pennsylvania was a sweet crude refinery. The maintenance cost and operation of a sour crude refinery are a lot higher than they are, and the operations of that are a little more complicated, I would say. We're very lucky to have owners that have in-depth knowledge of how to operate this particular refinery, and to work with us in the state to provide good jobs, economic jobs. They provide health care, they provide pension, the ancillary businesses throughout the community that feed this refinery and support its workers and their families. It's a very large impact to the state of Delaware and our economy.
Now, you mentioned pollution controls. What are some of the concerns related to safety and pollution, and have they been addressed?
Well, I think, to be perfectly honest, if you look for the track record of any refinery, it's hard. In the past, you know, this refinery has operated and it has had numerous pollution problems. But I don't believe that the previous owners, without casting any disparity on them, had the commitment to maintenance and upgrading of the facility as the current owners do. It's inherent in a complicated process like that you're going to have pollution issues. I think the commitment to spend $1 billion to refine this process, to make sure that there are no accidental discharges, which is something that you have in a complicated process like that, are brought down to the minimum. And I think that they're very active in doing that within the community.
What does this mean, the reopening of this refinery, as part of an overall commitment by the legislature as part of business growth in Delaware? Okay,
there are several things that we can do in the General Assembly. One that we had to do for this particular project is the way the state was taxing the product, oil, did not match the business model for this particular company. And it was quite a complicated process, and we looked at that and we passed legislation. It was revenue neutral to the state of Delaware. We figured out a way that we could apply our tax structure to the company.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Senator Anthony DeLuca. I'm Jill Horner.